Well, that means for our market at the open. Stan Shamu joining us from IG in Melbourne. Stan, good to see you there. Now, just firstly, I wanted to ask you about the Bullard comments, what you made of that, how that's likely to impact our market. Didn't seem to have a lot of reaction. The reaction seemed quite muted in the US.
Yeah, I think James Bullard's comments absolutely point towards a bit of a token tapering in December. So I think at the moment it's the conversation's really switched from whether or not we will get tapering to how big the tapering amount will be come the December meeting. Of course, the only main concern he has is the impact on inflation, and which is why he said that any sort of tapering would have to be a bit modest. We do know that Bullard's a voting member this year, so of course his comments do carry some weight, and he is already a traditional sort of a dove. So I think such a hawkish statement from Bullard really does carry a lot of weight. But of course, with the US dollar, there hasn't been too much of an impact. I suppose the main pair I've actually been watching at the moment is the dollar-yen, just mainly because of the gains it saw yesterday and the impact it had on the Nikkei. Of course, we did see the Nikkei jump over 2% yesterday, and it was the outperformer in the Asian region. And I think we will be eyeing the Nikkei for a bit of a gain as well today at the open, currently pointing towards a mildly positive open. And of course, with the dollar-yen just pushing through that 103.30 level, it certainly seems like there is room for further gains. I think yesterday's high was 103.33. Last week's high was 103.38. So that's definitely the near-term level to look out for. And should we manage to see a push through that 103.38 level, then we'll be eyeing 103.74, which is where the May highs for the dollar-yen were. And of course, just looking at the yen, renewed yen weakness, it always points towards gains for the Nikkei and of course Japanese equities. We've already heard some news that the manufacturing industry in Japan is now looking to raise wages just because of the improvement in exports. And of course, that really does show that eventually this will lead to an improvement in the CPI readings, and of course help the BOJ reach their 2% inflation target. So it certainly seems like all wheels are turning in the right direction. We will get some manufacturing data today out of Japan, along with machine tool orders. So that should give us a bit of an indication of where the economy is at the moment. And I think that will be the main market to watch in Asia today, along with India, which is now at record highs as well. So emerging markets and Japan will definitely be the key themes to look out for in Asia today.
After our market closes, of course, so we do get all the China data, industrial production, retail sales. What are you expecting to see here, and what kind of impact could that have on those risk assets like the Aussie dollar?
Yeah, I think with China data, it's one-way traffic at the moment, and just looking at that recent trade surplus that we got, I think a sharp jump in exports really points towards some upside risk to any data out of China at the moment. I think particularly the industrial production, which is expected to be steady at about 10.2%, could push a bit higher and could surprise to the upside, mainly just because you know, a jump in exports just suggests that there's improved activity in China, and of course it's always a good follow-through to look at a rise in exports for other local matrix. So that should be a positive reading, I think, out of China. Unfortunately, we only get the readings out at 4:30, so by that time the market will be closed, so we'll only see a reaction to sort of more in the currency space. This could actually push the Aussie a little bit higher. It has shown a bit of an improvement from that low on Friday in the sort of 90 region, so there certainly seems to be some short-term buying in the Aussie at the moment after a long period of underperformance. Locally, we've got the home loans data at 11:30, expected up 1.2%, so there's nothing too much out of there. And we also have the NAB business confidence. I don't think it will carry, which I don't think will carry too much weight, but of course it's always something to look out for in the local market given the limited economic releases.
Yeah, the profit warning from QBE really seemed to hit market confidence yesterday. What's your sense of, you know, the opening call for the local market today?
Yeah, I think from that perspective, we are actually looking at further downside for the Australian market. I think today we're currently calling the market down 10 points, so it's not really impressive at all, considering some of these markets globally are hitting record highs, and I think this will continue to extend in today's session, where we'll probably see follow-through selling going on in QBE. Of course, yesterday there was a sharp drop, but you always find the institutional investors react first, and the retail investors tend to react on the second day of selling. So we could see another wave at the open of selling QBE shares, and then potentially maybe a little bit of a bounce. But I think no one's really quite confident enough to start looking at buying the dips on QBE, of which it's something that we're generally not, generally wouldn't suggest. Of course, it's trying to catch a falling knife is always risky business, particularly with equities that have gapped significantly lower in the previous session. So I think that could be another dampener for the market today, along with the other financials. For the resources, it actually looks like they'll have another positive day. We had iron ore and gold both pushing higher, so this should be positive for some of these iron ore names. I think we've seen some nice little uptrends emerge for Mount Gibson, Arium, and Atlas Iron as well, so that they should continue to do nicely in today's session. But we also had natural gas, which spiked on some weather-related issues, and this should benefit the likes of Woodside and Santos. Of course, Woodside also has some sort of, I think it's an investor presentation today, so that should be interesting to look out for. And I think apart from that, it should be a relatively risk-on or risk-off session, depending on how the data pans out throughout the day.
Stan, as always, an extensive wrap of what to watch for. Thanks so much.
Cheers, bro.
Stan Shamu there from IG. Stay with us.